FX forecast for the week beginning 26th of August 2019. Dollar index, bearish ABCD. As you're aware, I've probably been harping on about this for a long time now, but we see how it's quite old now. We're coming up to a year old, the 13th of September. So ABCD. Now we draw a fib from ABC to D. Still above the 38.2. We've got the 200-day moving average, which is obviously pointing up. And we've got these inside bars on the weekly period. So that's good support. See how we closed above? Even after all that, all that fear and all that nonsense on Friday, we still closed above. Now we closed below this, which is December's inside bar on the weekly period, then that will probably be quite bearish, and I'll change my bias, because then we'd break that and then we still have this huge ABCD looming, and we break that, we probably can do very well on the Euro, USD and the pound, but the pound's got its political problems, so one to watch. But that's the daily on the dollar index. We'll go to H4. Now this is a slight issue, is that it's broken the diagonal, you see, but we've still got the fib, so it came into play. So we've got the 200-day, we're sort of teetering on that, but this is a diagonal, it's broken, so it's slightly concerning. But as long as the retail sell it, then that'll push price up. Won't make this too long a video. I'll try and make each one about 2 minutes long, each instrument. And now the pound USD, the cable rate, what's happened here is there's a shift channel that's created the halfway point between that extreme and that. So what it's done, it's measured that high, and then it's measured this low. At that point there, that's where I recommended that we sold last month. That's my trade recommendation. So how we've tracked down since. Now we're below the pivot point. Next month's pivot point is a downward forecast. Hopefully you can see it, so I don't have to say the numbers, but if you just perhaps zoom in, you can see it. That's 12198. 200 days pointing down. So the H4, we've got the bearish ABCD, and then we've got the 200-day here, which I think we'll see price below. Because if you look at this diagonal, this median pitchfork line, see how it hits the red zone resistance below pivot. So there's three levels of confluence resistance there, with that median line, bang, and then this ABCD resistance, and we're below that, and a downward forecast for next month. Euro USD, now I'll zoom in a bit. Okay, so we've got a downward forecast for next month there. We're below the 200-day, we have been for a while. We have broken the pitchfork. So that would be bullish from a pitchfork perspective, because we've broken that, but we're below the 200-day. H4, so bearish ABCD. Let's see if we can create a channel where you can see it, can't you? Look, that resistance line, that's going to hit pivot, and we've got the 200-day. So we've got another triple confluence resistance, downward forecast for next month. It's broken the pitchfork, which is bullish, so this might come into play. It's that diagonal line there and the 200-day. So that's something to keep an eye on. That's quite a way away. Yeah, 111.65, so that might get tested. So we get a close above, that would be quite bullish, but I mean, don't forget that it's a bearish ABCD on the H4. There's that huge resistance line there too. Now the Euro Yen is a bullish free drives. 1, 2, 3. Broken pitchfork, which is bullish, and obviously we've got the bullish sequence there. Broken support 2, downward forecast for next month. It's a huge revision down, 121, 118. So, and we've got that diagonal resistance there too, and the 200 days pointing down. And that's going to continue pointing down too. So I think what will happen, wow, it's a huge threshold. So this whole thing goes to pot if 112.83 breaks. So that's a long way away. So it's got a lot of comfort zone for support on this sequence on the daily. So yeah, H4, bullish ABCD, zoom out. Same sort of thing there. We've got a lot of comfort zone for support to the pitchforks descending, 200 days pointing down, and again there's a repeat the downward forecast for the pivot. So assuming that breaks, then the whole thing just continues down this pitchfork, perhaps all the way down to 112, 113. Pound yen, this is a popular pair from my direct messages. We've got a downward forecast there on the pivot, the 200 day pointing down. We've got a bullish ABCD, and again this whole thing gets ugly if 125.12 breaks. And if that breaks, then we'll just continue slumping down. The 200 day reinforces that idea. We've got the political nonsense too with the pound, and whether or not they're actually going to get a resolution on the Northern Ireland border. I don't see how they're going to do it, because Boris Johnson doesn't want passport control and he's not going to pay for it. So I don't know if the EU are going to pay for it, but it's one of them things. It's a political mess at the moment, and we're running out of time too. So yeah, this is quite fundamentally driven, this pair, but technically down, as you can see this pitchfork on the daily. H4, same sort of thing, descended pitchfork, support one line there. You can get all these supports and resistance from the spreadsheet or from actionforex.com. It's a really good website. Downward forecast. So yes, that's that. Aussie, bullish, ABCD. Now we can maybe project, see, pending this holds, this ABCD, this red zone support, we can perhaps get the fib to project where we're going to end up. So we should end up somewhere around here. So we'll have a look. So we use the CD leg. So assuming that low holds, 168 is up here. So we'd do something like this. This all depends on what the dollar index does. If that falls, then this will likely do well. Oops, that's wrong. Get rid of that. That's there for. And see, we go like this. It'll make some kind of, see that? A, B, C, D. Potentially. And that level's 7680. So if the dollar index just has a really bad day on Monday and it breaks that support, which I doubt it does, but if it does, then we can look like something like this, where we'll break the pitchfork, and then we'll get a decompletion of where that would be the sell, and then you sell at that point, and then resume the downtrend. So the dollar index will inevitably be a buy, but it might just have to fall a little bit first, perhaps. So that's just an idea. I've had to use fibs for the zigzags. So it's quite optimistic, and also you've got problems with the Aussie too, political and fundamental issues. And the Kiwi, now they're going to talk about cutting interest rates, so that's something to bear in mind. So bullish ABCD. Likewise, you can do the same thing with the fib. So we'll get a projection up here, but we've got a diagonal resistance there, and we've got a downward forecast for the next month, and we're below the 200 day. So that's your bias, really. I wouldn't fight the 200 day. It's too strong. But we've got bullish ABCD on the daily. H4, again pointing down, downward forecast. We did manage to close above support 2. Pivots up here. So anything below pivots your bias. It's bearish. Zoom out. descending pitchfork. So yeah, it looks bearish, but apart from the harmonic. So if this breaks, then it'll be fully bearish. 6290, which isn't that far away. It's 100 pips. So yeah, and we've got the dollar yen. It's had a pretty bad day on Friday for those reasons, Trump related. And we can do a similar thing that we got on the pound USD. See how we've got a shift pitchfork. So this is halfway point between that, and then it measures that angle from that top. See? I recommend that you download the Zoop indicator. I made a lot of money this year from just using the shift pitchfork. I don't know any other indicator that uses it. But look, that's just really accurate and really quite profound, really. And we've got the lower channel there too. So yeah, it's definitely paid for it. I paid $25 for the indicator, and it's just, yeah, it's really, really good. And we were relying on yen strength on our profit and loss sheet. So if this does fall, it will bring all the other pairs down too. If you remember, we had the CAD yen, the Kiwi yen, and the Euro yen, all sell signals. So if this does fall, which I assume it does, see that resistance there, then that will bring the others down too. So support 1 there. So we can maybe test this. That's a possibility. But yeah, see how bearish that the shift pitchfork is and the main pitchfork, and pivots up here too. Go to H4. Oh, it's going to look funny with those lines now, but you see a bit of a closer look. So had it have gone above, you would have bought it, you see, but we had the 200-day, so it was telling us not to buy. So always look for the 200-day, and that'll tell you at a very high level and powerful level where things are going. Don't neglect the 200-day. It's easy to overlook and forget. So even though you might have been tempted, you would have hit that anyway, maybe, and it would have fallen. So there's that to bear in mind. Always use the 200-day. That's how it fell. See, Trump was going to retaliate on the China, and when that news came about, it really did fall. Euro pound. So we've got the bullish ABCD. 200 days kind of sideways, undecided. I mean, it is pointing it up, but it's like teetering a little bit. Next month's pivot's up. Now we close just bang on that pivot, I think. Oh no, just slightly above. Okay, 10 pips above. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be resistance up here. That would have been R2. So that's a confluence there. So H4, bullish, Gartley. Now that invalidates here. So the line of interest for me, 8892. So if that breaks, then it will look good for the pound. Clicking it through. Just got the dollar Swiss now. Likewise, this shift channel thing. So it's definitely worth downloading the Zoop indicator. I wouldn't have spotted this. I don't know any other indicator that does the shift channel, but on the daily it's quite powerful. See, boom. So yeah, 200 days sideways-ish. I mean, it's going up over time, but it was sort of teetering a little bit. It would have ideally loved to hold this channel, this line here, but we were definitely falling below. Now we've got the medium pitchfork line as support. So 741. So you could maybe scalp off that for long, but it's up to you. And we've got the H4. Okay, we've got the bearish sequence there, as you know, 5.0. That's been hanging around for ages. There's that diagonal line for the daily, and we've got that big bearish channel here. So I mean, if you took the Euro, the pound Swiss signal, you have to bear in mind all these bearish sequences not to trade the signals blindly, but do your homework. Because if you look at the H4, it was bearish, even though we had the signal to buy. So you have to do some prep work. Don't just take the signals blindly. I mean, the retail are wrong, but 80% of the time they're wrong, but 20% of the time that they are right. So we have to bear in mind, 1 in 5 trades, we have to there is that margin of error. So that's a sell signal there technically. Dollar CAD, nearly done now. Bullish ABCD, 200-day, we're sort of pointing down. We've got an upward forecast for next month, which makes a change. Everything else is down. Same thing with this shift pitchfork. Oops, where are we? Here and here. So we've got a downward channel, but we've broken this main pitchfork, which is interesting. So what it might do, this 200-day sort of pointing down-ish. We'll probably hit this pivot for September, then bounce, because we've got the bullish ABCD, and this does affect, this pair is a lot to do with oil as well, so I have to bear that in mind. And last two is gold. This had a good day on Friday for obvious reasons, all that uncertainty. Now my ultimate goal here is September's pivot at 1487, and we did close above R3, so that's like very bullish. But this is a diagonal line here, which we just closed below. That diagonal line is from this low to August 2018. Hit that. Hit that. So we did close below that diagonal on the daily. Bullish pitchfork. Huge upward revision, and it was a big revision upwards from last month and the month prior. That was a big leap. Look. And I guess it will continue to keep going as long as there's all that trade uncertainty and Trump's tweeting, then it will continue to go up. But maybe the fear will diminish over time. No doubt they'll buy the stocks, they'll buy the dip, won't they, on Monday, Tuesday. But this R3 level, you want to close below it. Close below and you're okay. H4 is a bullish ABCD. And last but not least, the silver is a bearish max bat on the daily. The 200 days up, upward forecast. Now you don't want, if you're trading this, oops, that's wrong, this level here. So it's something about 1752. Yeah, 1752. If that breaks, then it invalidates this max bat, and it will change to something else. It will still keep a bearish sequence, but it won't be a bat anymore. It could squeeze higher up to that, the top of the pitchfork resistance. As it stands, it's bearish. And we've got an upward forecast to H4. So we did close within the pitchfork. And yeah, so there's that line again. That's the invalidation level there. So if it breaks above 1752, then it'll look quite bullish. But yeah, that wraps up a pretty lengthy video. But if you stuck by and watched it all, then thanks very much. And next week I do the sentimental stuff. Have a good week. Hopefully this week isn't as crazy choppy as last week. And yeah, wish you many pips.